we can run to the Mocap piece.
Yeah, why don't you run the Mocap piece, and then we'll bring Brian back and have some more animation questions for him. Here's the Mocap piece we aired earlier for the folks who have not been watching our every movement.
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick for you guys. One moment. And,
here it is. Almost.
Mocap piece first. And stand by, bringing it up. Here we go.
So about 6 months ago when I started here at Cloud Imperium, we pretty much had nothing, no animation. We were using SDK animations that came with the CryEngine. So I was tasked to develop a motion capture system to create everything that we need. So in the past 6 months, we've done a combination of using SDK. We bought some, there's a website that we bought some motion capture from, temporary stuff to get us going. And then just recently, we went down and we acquired a OptiTrack motion capture system from Natural Point. And this happens to be the OptiTrack camera. This is a Prime 41 camera. It's a 4 megapixel of something like 120 frames a second. And it films these markers, which reflect light, infrared light from the camera, and help track body movement. I believe the OptiTrack system is superior for several reasons. One, it's a much more affordable camera, so that means we can have more cameras. The more cameras, the better data that we get from our motion capture shoots. It can actually see farther than other cameras. It shoots up to like 100 feet indoors. It does about half that outdoors in bright sunlight. So if we should happen to need a large space, we can go outside and film. So our biggest challenge right now is finding a space for our motion capture studio. We were looking at an old airport and getting an old airplane hangar, which would have been absolutely perfect. But we also are looking at other various spaces, warehouses, maybe office spaces where we can set up. Basically, we need a space big enough where we can capture a run cycle. The great thing about us having our own motion capture system is the fact that we're not reliant on another studio to go in and shoot our motion capture data. We don't have to work our schedule around other people's schedules and other developer schedules and other post-animation houses' schedules who need motion capture facilities. Because everything is in-house, we can basically go in and say, hey, guess what? We need to capture 20 animations today. Let's go to the studio, throw on the suit, or hire an actor to bring in and have them throw on the suit real fast and capture these motions. It also allows us to continually update animation in the game. We can create new missions for the character to go on without having to spend massive amounts of money on going to another studio and actually have them capture it and solve the data for us. We can do it all in-house. It's going to save us a lot of money on the back end.
And we're back.
We are back. We have Brian Brewer here, and he is going to be talking to us about animation. If you have an animation question, you can tweet it to me at BanditLoaf, and we will pose it to him, and we already have a couple. Let's see. First one is...
Brian, when you did that climbing up and then...
Stepping off, yeah.
And then you dug, was that all one movement?
No, that was actually, I talked about it a little bit earlier before we had our last little segment here. We didn't have some of the resources to do a full, get on the ladder, climb all the way up to the top, and then step off. We just didn't have that. So we had a ladder. We kind of put it at an angle similar to the 300i ladder, and I did a mount. I just tried to make that look really good, like mount and step on. And then the next take was I got on the ladder in that same position, and I did a full loop, and then I came down, and then I did it again, just to kind of like, which I'm glad I did because I ended up using the second take. I'm going up the
So
ladder.
you're going to use the second take going forward? Or?
Yeah, the second time I climbed up, I used that take. So I just kind of did it a couple times,
Okay.
and then I did one where I just kind of kneeled on the floor, and then I stepped up, and I kind of like, well, this is how I think he should kind of get into the. So I kind of do the little duck and get in and
You have
stand
it all
up.
figured out.
You've been doing this for so many years, you learn all the little tricks.
Right.
So then that all gets stitched together, edited into the final.
So we're going
Bless you.
to see you climb up the ladder and duck in one take.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So eventually, that's what you see, right? Yeah. So the question.
Okay, first animation question. How big a pain would it be to make custom animations to reflect a home cockpit setup that uses the Oculus Rift?
Yeah, that's a good question because engineering goes into making all that work properly, right?
The
So,
home stretch shirt. Oh, hell yeah.
so what you have is you have a mount animation that gets played. So, in an example in 300i, there's a spot right behind the seat that you walk up to, and at that point you can hit use, and code says, all right, time to mount the guy to the spaceship. So I'm going to play the cockpit animation in sequence with the character animation. The character sits down, he spins around, grabs a hold of the controls, and at that point we turn IK on. And IK will snap his hands to yoke, and then whatever you do at that point will control your character's arm. So if you fly to the right or to the left, the yoke will turn, which in turn will turn the character's hands. And then if we have an animation that, let's say you need to punch some controls off to the side, so you activate that in particular command, it will play an animation to decorate that command. So in the animation, it'll say turn off IK. It turns off. Oh, for those of you who don't know what IK is, IK stands for inverse kinematics. So forward kinematics is I move my arm, I move my elbow, and I move my hand. Inverse kinematics is I can grab my hand and it moves the whole arm. So, okay, that aside, you turn off IK, play the animation of punching some controls, he comes back over to that yoke, and IK turns back on. Little technical issues that come up is in game development that we have to think about is position of that yoke. Is the yoke straight up and down? Is it at kind of an angle? The 300i has kind of set the standard for that because it's our first real ship built, so they're kind of at an angle. And it's at this far away from the character. Everything is lined up properly because if in a ship the yoke is maybe farther apart and maybe further forward, what's going to happen is the animation is going to play, and then right when the IK is supposed to turn on, the hands will pop out to whatever that yoke is. So we try to keep a consistency in all of our cockpits. Now we are going to have different cockpit configurations. So we're going to have different poses that the pilot can be. We got the one like in the 300i. It's kind of like the commercial airliner steering wheel. We have one that's like a dual joystick on either side. Then you have the fighter pilot with the yoke in the middle and like the throttle on the side to increase your speed, and which is kind of cool, right? So if you happen to have a flight stick and an accel throttle or whatever those things are called, right? You'll put your hand on there, and as you at your desk push forward or backwards to go faster or slower, because your character's arm is IK to that throttle, you'll see your arm if you happen to look down, and especially if you're using like the Oculus Rift, and you like look down at yourself as you're moving back and forth, you'll see your character moving and piloting or whatever it happens to be. So if you want to get that's kind of roundabout ways. So if you want to customize your own cockpit, there's a kind of a template you can actually follow where you can go in and kind of put in your own assets and say, oh, this is what I want my screen to look like because it's really cool. If it fits that template, it will just work with animations. If you want something very unique to your animations or to your cockpit that you want animation, you'll have to create an animation to properly play it. Otherwise, it could look a little awkward. So you just kind of need to know the steps. You need to know how to go into code and do whatever it takes to turn IK on and off at a certain point and in the animation. So I don't know. I hope that helps. There's different zones, right? So in case you do build your own cockpit, you have 2 panels that are right here that your character can reach. You have 2 panels like right here that your character can reach, and you have some right over your head that you can reach. And they're split left and right, so you can be flying with one hand and be like hitting some buttons up here, and come back, and so that's kind of how it's broken apart.
You actually managed to answer 3 of the questions at once with that one. Folks wondering about their own cockpits and their own modeling ships, how they would connect to the animations you're doing. One other question, though. Are you going to animate low and zero gravity, and if so, how?
That's an interesting question. So part of that's a design question, because will we have zero gravity that our characters go into? And I was actually thinking about this the other day. What happens if we have a spaceship that has zero gravity, right? Well, what if we use the swimming physics to kind of like I know you're not underwater, but what if we were able to use that system kind of float you through?
Actually, Brad, there's already zero G support in the engine. We just need the animation. Yeah.
Oh, so, hey, you learn something new every day, right? So we just have to figure out what animations decorate that system and create them.
I say we take the Mocap system over to Houston's NASA system and dump it all into water into a tank. And,
I want
all the.
How about
just go over the
the plane? What do they call it? The bombing comet? Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fun. I know James Cameron right now is developing a technology. It's a markerless motion capture system. He's developing it for the next Avatar movie to allow to do motion capture underwater. So I guess they put all these cameras underwater and
He's just mixing together all his things now.
However it works, and you throw your actor, and you kind of got that water weightless swimming, which would be pretty cool. So yeah, who knows?
All right. Now we're going to jump to one other thing for a moment. Before we started the live stream yesterday, like half an hour before, we had a visit from an old friend, Adam Foshko, veteran of several Wing Commander games. He stopped by the Austin office, and we recorded a little video. And let's show that.
Hey everybody, welcome back. You're not going to believe who stopped by today. A good friend of ours that worked on the Wing Commanders with Chris and myself, Adam Foshko, and we're just about to go live. So you're here in Austin.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, I was in New York yesterday. I fell into Austin for this, and then I got on a plane to go to LA. But I couldn't really leave. I couldn't fly over the middle of the country without dropping off here and saying hi and wishing everybody the best and
checking out the
clown
car.
Yeah. The clown car. It is small. We'll call it it's bijou. It's efficient.
Actually, see, Adam's the lead writer at Activision, right?
Right.
So,
Call of Duty and Skylanders and.
There you go. Well, those are two very different games.
Very. I like to be sort of completely diametrically opposed as possible.
Have you ever thought about putting like a Call of Duty spin on the Skylanders universe and just having some fun with that?
It's ugly. It's ugly when you think about that. It really is.
Cool. So now you worked with us at Origin Systems.
That's right.
I mean, I think that's the last place we actually Digital Anvil.
Digital Anvil, sure.
That's right.
On Freelancer.
On Freelancer,
which people still play,
and which is kind of the spiritual. We're kind of the spiritual successor to that.
It's really good to see. It's good to see that completed, sort of coming. All those ideas really coming to fruition in this project.
Yeah, because even though Freelancer was a hit and a good game, we never got to finish what we started.
No,
it was going to be much bigger under whose vision?
Well, that would be Chris. Yeah, that would be Chris.
He kind of has a little vision usually.
Little.
Yeah, like quite a big one.
Easily fulfilled in an afternoon.
Yeah.
With paper cutouts.
Yeah, exactly. Paper cutouts.
It's very
dolls.
Very simple. And just a couple of 50.
Right on. So you're going to be here. You're going to be in LA.
Right.
Have you been following what's been up?
I have been. I've been really happy to sort of see the groundswell of support.
It's amazing.
And and also the new commercial that came out fairly recently. I was really impressed by that.
All right, cool.
And I see a lot of stuff. Stuff from LA, from in studios and the film industry there and in television, So I'm seeing stuff again, which is I think one of the things that is sort of uniquely Chris is is his vision for
Incredible.
not just a world and a game, but also sort of a cinematic vision, which I certainly and you sort of helped to contribute to and sort of build out in a way. And so it's just really fueled a lot of our sort of endeavors after
Our careers.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I knew Chris before any of this, before Wing Commanders and everything else. We were friends, and I got in the industry because of him. There's no doubt about that, and stayed there. I learned a lot. I'm not gonna deny that. I mean, that guy's not just a friend, but this is the suck up portion of the show. Anyway, it is true.
I'm
though.
helping.
It is true though. He's really launched a lot of
No,
careers.
he really has, and he certainly I think helped me to get a start in the industry. I think it's reasonable to say that I wouldn't be working on all the projects that I've been working on for the last however many years without really Wing Commander and Freelancer to sort of launch all that.
Hey, do you remember was it Wing Commander 4 we were shooting, and I had found a girl that I knew from high school. Do you remember? In a certain type of bar in LA, and you were doing the casting for Wing Commander, I think it was 4, and I was trying to shoehorn her in, and you're like, "Come on, Eric." I go, "No, she's really good.
She can act."
Yeah.
No, really. She can act.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
I vaguely remember that. But there were a lot of people. Bill Pete was not that dissimilar.
Yeah.
Except,
Oh my gosh, that's right.
he was like he can act. It's like
He can act.
He
yeah.
can,
Yeah.
But at the time, it was like, you had to find a guy with the biggest head we could possibly find. He's got the biggest to fit the helmet.
Yes, right. We designed this gigantic helmet. Well, it's got to be Peter.
It just helped that he could act.
Yeah, he's a good guy too. Peter, for those of you who don't know, that's Peter Marquardt. He's one of my college roommates, a friend of Chris's, myself. Peter was the lead in El Mariachi. He was El Loco, the lead bad guy in El Mariachi with Robert Rodriguez. He's the guy that was at Pharmaco Survey with Robert and got cast.
Right.
Right.
Because he could act. Or because he was just in the next bunk. I think it's really what it was.
I think it's natural, though. I think he's just a natural guy.
And he's a good guy. He really. I haven't seen him in quite a while.
He's around. You might stop by sometime. He's in Austin now.
That would be good.
Yeah.
I hear Warren is coming by later. Maybe?
Yeah, Warren's going to be here. I don't want to tell too much about what's going on.
Right.
Thanks for that. It's okay. No, we're not cutting anything, man. We don't do that here. So anyway, I'm glad you stopped by. Look for Adam here. We're going to show him here. He's here in Austin. We're about 35 minutes from the actual launch of the show, and then we might see you later in another location, right?
Right. There might be another location that I might fall into randomly in another time zone, and then we can all sort of go back in time a couple of hours.
Which is what we're doing.
Which is really what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because earlier I was 3 hours, an hour away from now, an hour ahead from now, and then there's now.
You're already confused.
And then there would be 2 hours and 3 hours. This is like a Spaceballs bit. There's now.
Yeah, right. That's no
Looking
moon.
at this now.
Anyway, listen, I want to thank you for stopping by.
It was great to be here.
It's always good to see old friends too. I mean, it's really cool. It surprised me. So we had to get him on camera.
And there are a lot of really great people who were in the crammed very tightly into this Das Boot style submarine that's here, and they're all from X-Origin and Digital Annual alum and some other people and community people. A lot of old faces, but all amazingly talented people. So they're all really, I can tell they're pouring their best into this, and I'm really excited.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. And coming from you, that means nothing. But
yeah, absolutely nothing. Where's my coffee?
It means everything, man. I appreciate that. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you in the verse.
Wait, no, I think we're going to do it tomorrow morning.
See you in the verse.
So, howdy. Go. Yard. Hello.
Yep. Hey guys, you out there?
Hey, yeah, you see Adam there?
Hey, there you are. We can hear you now.
It's like I'm back, but in a completely different time zone.
It is. You're the only person who got to enjoy both offices today.
You look like someone I saw yesterday.
That's but he's there. We're all wearing the same stuff. I'm wearing the same.
That's what we get from Texas to California in nearly 24 hours.
Long run.
He just in the New York office. I could have been there the day before, so we could have covered all 3 coasts.
How many states are you doing business?
Business.
Stuff?
So wrapping up Skylanders, I was up in New York. When I heard this was going on, I just diverted coming back home to LA. Thought I would drop into Austin, see your operation there, say hi to everybody, and then I was like, well, I may as well come here too.
You might as well come here. Well, you live not far from here. So.
And I managed to do it all sort of in a day, so that was good.
Very, very awesome.
This seems really super exciting from what I've been seeing. It just seems like there's a lot of buzz and people are completely great stuff. You've got this massive 24-hour run that you're taking, and you're marathoning, you're media marathoning right now.
Yeah, we're right at the end too, so we've got about 1 hour left.
Yeah, I like the fact
we ran out of steam about 5 hours ago.
I kind of expected, a
5 hours is being generous.
This is one of the great things about building a game with a community that's essentially backing you is all the stuff from.
This looks like my office.
Most of the people here are also part of our community and back, so they're local and came in to hang out here. So that's very cool.
Well, this is like my office, so I'm happy. I'm happy that there's some continuity here. It feels like home. Yeah.
Maybe a 12-year-old. Actually, what did what we call this?
No, it's right here.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Sneaking. Oh, now they're breaking up.
Thundercats. Who brought the Thundercats?
That was.
They said it was too early yesterday.
Oh, too early yesterday.
Thundercats, Canadian
MREs.
We got.
Oh, you got a Canadian MREs? Or?
Canadian. Yeah, I don't know what a Canadian. I don't know if it's just a more friendly
It's
MRE.
foie gras. I think it's foie gras for the most part.
Yeah.
Is really what it is.
Well, we can't have that here in California.
Yeah.
So anyway, I couldn't actually hear the Eric Peterson interview because you guys are all talking on your side. But did you cover Adam's history with me? We worked on Week 3, Week 4.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about any of that. I think we talked mostly about him. No.
All I heard was inappropriate stories about casting Wing 4.
Yeah, that sounds right. I love Eric. He's like, enough about me. What do you think about me?
All right. So so
you got the real wingman experience.
Adam was on the 2 live action stuff and then Prophecy afterwards. So
right, and then Freelancer we hooked up again.
Yep.
And did that and.
Harry, did you see Harry?
I saw
Harry.
Yeah, I saw Harry, and I saw Rob Irving, and I saw. It was sort of like sort of being in the sub in Das Boot when I was in Austin. It was like great. Where's the conning tower?
After DA, then you came out here to.
Right. Started doing Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, and Bond, and whatever else.
And now you're the story hitman, I think, aren't you? You basically supervise all the cinematics and the story and writing stuff for all the Activision games.
Right, that's largely what I do. So it keeps me busy.
Well, that's cool.
But
the Call of Duty sort of story action scenes are pretty awesome. They're like a big summer event movie.
They do a great job.
So
yeah, they're really
good.
They're terrific. So and now we're doing
for a few dollars.
Yeah, just a couple. And now, of course, there's COD Online, which is working on that too. So it continues to move forward. And last time I saw you was actually in Austin at the kickoff.
Yes.
At the event.
Yeah, that's correct.
That was very cool.
Yeah. No, well, we're still. Hey, look, we're at whatever we are. I don't know what is that. What's got the total?
Who's got it up?
Yeah, we made about $600,000 since we saw Adam yesterday.
Yeah, we're at 11.
I'm happy to help. I feel like I've bookended my 600,000.
It was the anticipation of getting to see Adam Foshko at the end of this thing that really lit up those pledges, I think.
Will Forrest make it to the West Coast running the whole way?
Exactly.
Someone find...
No.
We're actually very close to 200,000 on the Star Citizens here. We're only 7 away, which is kind of decent. So yeah. So no, it's good. So I guess anyone have any questions out on the chat roll that would have for Adam or for me? Maybe some Wing Commander nostalgia.
Something about collar of dog?
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that.
No.
I'm not saying anything of noteworthiness.
They're like,
questions from chat roll, guys?
You got anything, Attic?
Oh, okay. Alira's got a good one.
Chris, can we get some pirate patches like the UEE ones?
Well, I think long term we'll definitely do that. So, the patches are fairly easy. We just need some designs. So cool designs. Pleasure did a couple of cool ones. We could probably adapt one of those.
Yes, Pleasure did some really nice ones.
So Adam was actually one of the people who got me started in the Wing Commander community stuff all those years ago. So it led me here. So he actually knew me by my call sign when he came in, rather than as Ben Lesnick, community manager.
I'm sorry, Ben. I'm sorry for everything that's happened since then. I'm sorry, Ben.
It's been a heck of a ride.
You're always going to be Loaf. I can't help it.
You shouldn't give him the laptop because he's just going to be looking for pirate questions.
Speaking of which, can the Caterpillar be modded to hold more cargo rather than players?
Well, yeah, no, you definitely. I think it's interchangeable. So, you can have cargo there, and or you can have people that are going to be boarding a ship. It's kind of up to you what you want to be filling the front hull for.
We get so many questions that are, can this ship be modded to do this? Can this ship be modded in this way? The answer is always yes. The whole system is to let you take your ship hull and turn it in the direction of the character you want to play.
We've got a request for the Ginger Lynn story about how you got her in the game.
So actually, Ginger Lynn's kind of an interesting.
There's a lot of people laughing out there right now.
Yeah, because we auditioned. We were basically auditioning a bunch of people, and she came in, and we had no idea who she was in the past. And at the time, she wasn't doing adult movies, so she'd taken a break with series. And so we actually auditioned her, and she was actually the best person to audition for the role. And then after she left, the casting director says, "You know who that is?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know who's that." And anyway, she said, "Well, she was this really big, famous adult actress." And and we literally actually it wasn't a gimmick. We were like, "Well, she was the best, and why not?" And then all of a sudden, it turns to this big thing because basically everyone on the game side is like, "That's Ginger Lynn."
All right, let's be fair. Chris was the last guy in America who didn't know or wouldn't admit to knowing who she was.
I did. I really did.
And to be quite fair, he was looking at a lot of different. We were all looking at a lot of different people. All the tapes were coming in. We're looking at a ton of folks.
Right, well, maybe Adam did. I didn't know.
Yeah. It was just me. I was the only one. Yeah.
She wasn't as big in England, I guess.
They were a ton of people. There were a ton of people. So you're just looking at how they were performing and just trying to get a sense of Rachel, and so his head was really on that. But when we saw the tapes come in, we were like, wait a minute, we know who that is, and it just everybody. He's right. Everyone kind of freaked out. We were like, oh yeah, look at this. That's what's she doing? Usually we're used to seeing her act differently. So that's interesting. She can act, and it's good. And it so happened that she really was good, and Chris took some convincing. Actually, it turned out, because he was like, "Wait, what? Really? Should we do?" And it turns out she was really good, and she was really good.
Yeah, she's great.
So that turned out. It was a.
But it wasn't any cutting marking.
No, it wasn't like this is what guys will like.
Yeah. But if we were thinking.
Is there any, along the same lines, what do you think your biggest challenge was making the Wing Commander games?
The biggest, what, just in general?
That was the question. I think the general, is there any stories about any insurmountable odds that you overcame to get some of those games made, or things that just hit you didn't think were going to get made, they didn't get game passed if you did?
I actually one follow-up story about Ginger Lynn to add.
Good.
If you're wondering what she's up to now, she still has her Wing Commander uniform, and she posts risque photos of herself on it at the WCU's website.
Tasteful pictures.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys can go ahead and put those in chat roll.
On chat roll.
Yeah, I like that.
It's
not just things that is all kind of different. I would say probably Wing 4 was the most challenging only because it was an incredibly tight deadline. EA basically wanted a game from start to finish in 8 months. And we were like, well, we can't really. We actually if we were going to do it properly, we wanted to redo the like engine and upgrade a bunch of stuff, and we couldn't. So we basically had to spend most of the money on the story and the content side, but still, even getting all that together and into a game in that short period of time was difficult. We didn't make 8 months. I think it took us like 9 or 10 months. 10 months, I think. But still, that's a miracle for a game that was on. I can't remember how many discs. It was on a ridiculous number of discs, and it was a pretty big thing.
Yeah, there's no amount of content. I mean, then compression was another issue because you're shooting 35 instead of video. A lot of practical sets for